Round the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change.
Well, just 1 week after hitting the Glen, we head to VIR. And welcome along, everybody, to the JP Broadcasting Network for live coverage of the Radical SR10 Championship 2024, Season 4, Round 10 from the iconic Virginia International Raceway, spanning just over 5.2 kilometres, 166 metres above sea level. You join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and also James Parfitt this evening. We'll bring James in a little while. We are including this round 4 weeks to go, but it's time to look at the scores on the doors in the championship side of things, because now Simon Edwards has got a bit of a lead, hasn't he? He's got a 38-point lead over James Barry. They've been battling tooth and nail over the past 9 weeks, with each of them getting their own taste of success. Jorge Gonzaga, in the meantime, has gotten a little bit closer to his insert name e-racing teammate, and the Portuguese driver rounds out the top three. Mike Bousson, everyone's favourite Somerset tractor driver, is rounding out the top four on 2:55, ahead of Josh Reed, with Paul LeMay, Graham Matthew, Phil Glover, our resident Mr. Positivity, rounding out the top 8 in the standings. He's ahead of Darryl Taylor and Jamie Bird, who ran out the top 10. James McRitchie, Dan Webster, David Rolliston, Seth Brown, Michael LeMay and Damien G round out the top 16, with Luke Maxwell and Graham Brown completing the top 18 in the standings.
I'm going to jump in really quickly. I do apologise there, but James Barry is out in front. For some reason, the scores did not update properly. So James is up 374. There you go. That's it. That's everybody's there as well. So apologies to you and also James Barry on that one.
No, so it is James Barry who's got that's a 19-point lead at the moment, and as he's now in the box, JP, good evening.
Oh, good evening. Sorry, apologies there as well. I was clicking buttons in the background. I'm all good, mate. I'm looking forward to this. I think this should be a good one. Bit of a light grid. We've got 13 drivers, but I still think it really doesn't matter. There's some series that you sit back and me and you do, and we kind of sit there and go, does it really matter? We've got low numbers. Look at UK sim racers. We could have 6 drivers and it'd still put on an absolute barnstormer of a show. And these guys are the same. So I think overall it's still going to be an interesting one. Of course, 2 races, 8 laps first. Then we've got a 14-lap feature with the top 10 reverse. So only 3 of these are not going to be on pole. But just going into qualifying at this moment in time.
Yep, so a 10-minute qualifying. Thank you very much, James, for saying how long the sprint race is going to be. 8 laps, 14 for the feature, and of course this circuit here, which has been around for a very, very long time, is going to provide a true test. Of course, very much old school. A lot of elevation changes, lots of changes of direction, but also when we go out of turn 12 at the famed corner known as Oak Tree, because there used to be an oak tree on the inside of turns 11 and 12. And then down the back stretch, where we're really going to see a lot of high top speeds, north of 160 miles an hour, running on board with the number 24 of Paul Clark as he goes underneath the bridge. And we're going to see the change of elevation. So up, down. It's a bit like being on a bungee cord, isn't it, James?
That's one of these things that make this circuit awesome. because it is so up and down, up and down, up and down. But this is where I expect most of these overtakes to get done. This is obviously, as you said, run out the oak tree. Now, if you wonder where the oak tree's gone, it got struck by lightning in real life and was removed. And then, of course, iRacing followed and it was taken off away from that corner. But this is where we expect most of it to go from. As you say, they're going to rack north round about 160 just. But then they've got this tricky section where they've got to come in, they've got to get it brake straight and get it rotated. As you can see, Paul Clark missed it a little bit there. Then you've got to tuck in. Now this section's quite hard because it is very right and left, and then you go left, and then you dip down, and you've got to get it in and connect it in again. So it's going to be very tough for them. I think this course is providing a lot of hard corners for these guys. Lots of, tough. You've got to be on it all the time. Simon Edwards 145, Paul LeMay 145. Paul Clark 146.4. So yeah, lots to take in, lots to contend with these guys, and I think they're going to have a very, very interesting race indeed.
Yeah, could also see another circuit to rival Spa-Francorchamps that we had back at week 3 7 weeks ago. Would you believe it? That's over a month and a half ago, where we could see high average speeds. Lap times we're seeing at the moment. Simon Edwards first to put in a low 45.1. Paul LeMay in second, Paul Clark in third, Jamie Bird in the number 39 goes up to P6 behind the Team Radline 666 of Mike Bousson, everyone's favourite tractor driver. Always plenty of banter between you and him whenever we get him into the box for a post-race interview at the end of the night. But we are seeing several drivers set respective purple sectors. Edwards sector 1, Paul LeMay sector 2, Paul Clark quickest in sector 3. So we've got looks like 6 sectors here. We're going to concentrate more on the times. And well, at the minute, David Beasley has yet to set a lap time here. After this, we've got 3 more circuits. We've got Road America, Sebring, and James, and pretty much a lot of people's favourite racetrack as the season finale, Interlagos on December the 5th. But it is going to be a bit of a battle, as we've always seen here, James, between the likes of Simon Edwards. James Barry, his first lap was a 1:53. Expect that to change very quickly.
Yeah, we can never count him out here. I just wanted to see what LeMay did. 147, 141.06. What's Clark going to bring in behind that? 141, so they are coming down slowly on pace there. Bousson, as we saw, back out of his lap. Phil Glover sitting in top 8 at the moment in time. One of the interesting things they have got to remember is the start-finish line is quite far down the start-finish straight. This is probably one of the very few circuits where the start-finish line is in conjunction. The start line, is in conjunction with the finish line. Now, if we go to Spa, we know that the start line's quite far down, but the finishing line is just after pit entry. So they've got to remember that they have got to run all the way down to the end. And we've seen so many photo finishes from VIR because that long run down coming out the hog pen, the final corner. So you come out now, and then you start picking up the draft, and you'll touch right the way to the line. The only problem is where's the leader going to go? He'll take the shortest route, of course, closest to the wall, so that leaves the person to run around the outside, whoever it may be, and James Barry goes on to pole.
1:53 on his opening lap. Lap 2, 1:40.466. Yeah, I mean, I still remember when Mr. Pepples and I were commentating on P Cup Europe, and we had that fantastic battle, which was a photo finish in the feature race that evening. That was quite a long time ago. I think that was actually last year, to be honest with you, where we just saw 2 Porsche Cup cars going literally side by side. We could very much see the same here tonight. Paul LeMay really showing some good pace in the number 27, one of the two brothers racing cars. He comes across the line. Does he improve? He goes P2 quicker than Mr. Edwards. So we've got another driver along with I think, what was it, a couple of weeks ago when we were at Donington Park, we saw that Jorge Gonzaga was very, very quick and could have upset the apple cart. Could Paul LeMay do that again tonight?
Paul's always been in and around there. I think that's the thing. He's got the pace to be up the front. He just has his niggling little injury that doesn't want to heal itself. And unfortunately, comes effect within the race, and all the force feedback kind of kills him a little bit. So he's always going to be in and around there. Would I like to see him running up for a championship? Absolutely, because I think on his day he's got the pace to beat anyone. He's just got to try. I don't know, this injury is a bit of a pest, to be blatantly honest. So, unfortunately, it really does affect his racing. But when he's on it, like he is today, he's on it. And Barry's just about to go quicker.
Yeah, he just has. He's opened up the gap to nearly 3.5 tenths of a second between himself and Paul LeMay. New fastest lap in qualifying with 3.5 minutes to go. James Barry, 1:40.280. Simon Edwards has decided to resume on-track activities by coming out of the pits. He's currently P3 at the moment, with Paul Clark, Mike Bousson, Jamie Bird, Seth Brown and Daryl Taylor rounding out the top 8 as Skittles rounds out that gaggle of cars. They're covered by 2 seconds at the moment. Damien G not having a good time at the moment. He's quite a way down. He's over 11.5 seconds off of James Barry's fastest time. Paul Clark has gone purple in sector number 5. There we see Damien trying to make good his intentions as Seth Brown continues to improve, locks up there into T1 at the Horseshoe. He's got Mike Bousson not too far behind. And there's Mr. Glover, goes up to P8. Nice little effort from the 07 Castrol liveried car. Goes up to P8 on a 1:42.038. Here comes Jamie Bird across the line. And he's done half of them as personal best. And on that particular occasion, well, that was not an improvement on lap time. Only 3 out of the 12 drivers. David Beasley yet to hit the server. Not too sure if David may have a problem joining, or he's decided to not go through with qualifying and decide to hang fire at the back and wait to see what madness happens in front of him.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's best to be, sensible, isn't it? I think that's the thing. You can get the start off and you can get the run down into turn 1, but if you take a dive and it all goes wrong, you're knackered. And I think, some of these drivers are going to have to be a little bit smart. Damien G might be one of them. Paul Clark in there's got a purple middle out the free. What's that? Sector's free as well. G does go over the line. Paul Clark coming up to the line now. And we've only got 1:20 on the clock. Lap time of 1:40. So anybody who's over the line, like Damien G, like Paul Clark, probably are not going to get to the end of the next lap.
Jamie Bird, however, has had an off-track, so that's going to throw a spanner in the works, reference any potential improvement from 7th, as he currently is at the moment, as Mr. Clark decides that's it. Jamie Bird has returned to garage as well. So has Seth Brown. Is Mr. Taylor. Skittles coming down the back straightaway, so 135, 140 miles an hour. Over the crest now, 150 up to 6th gear. We've been seeing cars hit nearly 165 miles an hour before going onto the brakes. 162 before he lifted and then hit the anchors. Michael LeMay's been off track in his own right in the 777. He's returned to garage, but wondering if this could be a possible improvement. Daryl did go and put a personal best in sectors 2 and 5 as he makes his way out of Hogpen at turns 16A to 17. Goes across the line. Will Daryl Taylor improve? Yes, he does. Goes up to P8, head of our good friend Mr. Phil Glover. And that, with that little bit of action being happening, that has concluded the session. Once again, no surprise, James Barry puts it on pole position.
It's going to be very interesting this time for Simon Edwards, though. He's got Paul LeMay in the middle.
So here's the grid for the 8-lap sprint race. James Barry takes another pole position. He'll be joined by Paul LeMay on the front row. Simon Edwards and Seth Brown will be on row 2. Row 3, Paul Clark and Mike Bousson, with Jamie Bird and Daryl Taylor completing row 4. Phil Glover and Michael LeMay round out the top 10. David Rolliston and Damien G round out 11th and 12th respectively, and due to start in 13th position, having not set a lap time in qualifying, the number 38 of David Beasley as we've already got nearly half of the drivers that qualified. There's Paul LeMay on the outside of the start-finish line here at VIR, just over 5.2 kilometres. A great circuit, really loved by a lot of racers, and is a very, very fast and at times technical challenge. It's going to really push the driver and machine in the Radical Race Series SR10 Championship for Season 4 at this latter stage. But as myself and James have been saying all the way through the season, the later you get into the championship, the more emphasis of getting the car across the line and getting those points are very, very crucial. Okay, looks like David Beasley might not be taking the start. Standing start as always for the Radical Race Series SR10s. The rev start to build, the 5 red lights are on, and they're out. Good initial getaway by Paul LeMay, but James Barry got the whole shot he needed, and Paul LeMay's going to look to the inside, to the horseshoe here at T1. Edwards is going 3 wide, he threads the eye of the needle, gets through on Paul LeMay as they come out of turn 1. And now it's all the way down towards the turn 2-3 complex here at NASCAR Bend before the left hook at turn 4A and then 4B. But that was a good start by LeMay. I think he bogged down a little bit on the getaway, didn't he, after he got that initial good launch?
Yeah, it did. It looked like he didn't quite get stage 2 up and running, didn't he? And he ended up losing that position to Simon Edwards. Of course, there is another option that Paul Mayo lifted and allowed Simon to go through. As Paul, in his own words, muttered last week or week before, I'm not in the championship, but you know, don't get me wrong, I'd still love you to have a good old scrap, Mr. LeMay. But I think, you know, he's going to go for it. Buson and Brown were side by side at the moment, and Buson has just taken that position away. Big lock up from JB Bird in the background going through the oak tree. And now it's on the run down into the roller coaster.
So, drivers will be at full throttle, pushing north of 160 miles an hour, going to the braking zone. Simon Edwards now trying to close in on race leader and championship leader James Barry as they head into the roller coaster section. Turn 13, so you over the crest, you go down the dip, a little bit of camber to the right hand side, then you're going left again through turn 15, over the crest again, now through the final part of the circuit here at Hogpen, and then you've got to really nail it to the apex, try and carry the momentum through, run the car maybe even a little bit wide, as we've just seen with Simon Edwards, was nearly 2 wheels on the grass. But you can see it's a bit like Brands Hatch. You keep the car very close to the right hand side by the pit wall, and then you just allow the car to drift to the left hand side before going through into the horseshoe. Jamie Bird is piggy in the middle at the moment because he's got Paul Clark ahead of him, and then Darrell Taylor behind, as trying to go for the move here at left hook. Oh, Clark runs wide. He might get the move done here. Yes, he does. Great work there by Jamie Bird.
Oh, there's still contact. They're still there.
Oh,
save it, Jamie, save it.
Oh, that was so lucky for Jamie Bird, but a little tag on the right rear just sends him off circuit onto the grass. So here we are again on the replay. Bang, there's the first, there's the second tap.
I'm going to go up, I'm going to look at that again in a minute, because I've got a funny feeling for Jamie Bird's point of view. So there was one, he did hit him. Yeah, Paul Clark did tap him, unfortunately, because could be all on Mr. Clark on that one.
But then the thing was, after that happened, you had Darrell Taylor and Phil Glover. Phil Glover going to the left, Darrell Taylor to the right. And the cat was definitely, well, it was 3 wide, and they both one went one way, one went the other. But in the meantime, well, Simon Edwards saying, I haven't got much in my box of tricks. Well, Mr. Barry, you got to keep your eyes on your 6, my friend, because we're now a quarter of the way through the race as we start lap 3 out of 8, and the top 3 rounded out by Simon Edwards and Paul LeMay. In the meantime, Michael LeMay and Paul Clark, I think, have just got off, and Paul Clark's dropped down the order. He's behind Damien G. So more dramas for the number 24, having a bit of a ta-ta-ta with Jamie Bird. Let's have a look at the replay here. So here's Michael LeMay. He goes off the circuit, and Paul just lost it all on his own. Coming out of Hogpen, went way too wide, all 4 wheels off, and started grass cutting.
Oh, Michael LeMay, where you going?
Oh, he's gone straight on.
Not good there. Yeah, I think that was a little bit of tunnel vision from Paul LeMay and Michael there. We've got Darryl Taylor here with Phil Glover. Up through the snake we go. It's not really a snake because you kind of straight line that as much as possible. On the run now down into South Bend, and that would be the left-hander. Now this left-hander you don't want to be on the outside for, I can tell you that much, because if that inside car runs wide, you're on the grass down the hill and off into yonder. So he's got to make sure that they don't go too wide through there. There's certain corners that you don't want to touch. Dingledale being one of them too wide, because that never works out, and that one down in South Bend because that never generally works out either. But Simon Edwards now out in front of James Barry, just got him on the back stretch.
Oh, that's a great little move there from Simon Edwards. He gets through. That's at turn 13. Barry tries to keep it pinned to the outside of turn 14. And Edwards says, no, you don't, Sunshine. You've got to do better than that to try and get the counter-attack at me. Also, a bit like turn 5 at Road America. You've got to make sure you don't hit the wall on the right-hand side by going too wide. But now, the hunter becomes the hunted. Barry starting to close on in at full velocity. Edwards now is going to keep that pin to the right-hand side of the circuit. Into the horseshoe we go. Barry trying to put it round the outside. That's never going to work in a month of Sundays, and he has to use discretion. It's the better part of valour, because he's got Paul LeMay closing on his 6 very, very quickly as they come out of turn 3 through NASCAR Bend into the left hook and then into the snake complex. As you rightly said, James, it isn't really a snake complex. It's just a little bit of left, little bit of right, little bit of left. Job done.
Yeah, it's pretty much straight line. If you go from here, you can literally straight line these first two. That's it. That's the complex done. And then you're going to come up now. You've got to rotate the car here. Barry's looking up the inside of Simon Edwards. If Edwards keep that pinned, that South Bend is going to be very, very interesting for Barry. He didn't. He took the should we say, air on the side of caution and backed away. And then we go obviously through the oak tree, and it's that double right-hander, and you think it's a lot sharper than what it is. And now it's just a main go for it situation. I think this is this is one of the things that they're going to have to see. And what is James Barry going to be able to do? Is he going to come and close right onto the back at the moment? He's looking, getting close, getting close, getting close. He's not going to be close enough this time around.
And once we complete this lap, we'll be halfway through the race, as we're on lap 4 out of 8. As you can just see how hard Simon Edwards is working behind the wheel of the number 52, the 7-time Radical Race Series champion. And Barry now is going to come out of Hogpen. He's going to plant that throttle to the floor and accelerate. You can just see the closing rate of speed again going down and towards the horseshoe here at T1. As we start lap number 5, Edwards goes to the inside, defends as he did last time. And Barry has got to use that back stretch. That's his best overtaking opportunity. Maybe if he can try going through in towards South Bend. We did see it going through turn 7 into 9, where Barry did have the run on Edwards a little bit, but Edwards was able to park the car where he needed to. So at this point, there has also been a change a little bit further back. Phil Glover and Darryl Taylor have got their handbags out at the moment.
Yeah, they're having a right little ding-dong further back, bless them. And there was also a swap with Jamie Bird and Paul Clark, but now they've swapped back again. So they've also been swapping through. We've obviously been keeping an eye on the front 3, partly because they're like that at the moment. Yeah. So we are sort of trying to focus on them. But yeah, there's a couple of battles that have materialised. Boost on Brown, Glover, Taylor, Rolliston, and then you've got G. Bird, Clark are in there. The only one who's not really in a battle is Mr. Michael LeMay.
Yep. And after that straight-on excursion at left hook at turn 4A earlier on, that has put him at the back end of the field. As we go over the back stretch once again, lap 5. Edwards trying to break the toe from Barry, who's about to try and see if he can try and thread the eye of the needle here at turn number 13 into the roller coaster section. But Edwards sternly holds his nerve, says to Barry, no, not again. You're not... No matter what you try, I'm always going to have a little answer for you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we've seen. We've been saying all season long, JP, that Barry has been schooled by Edwards every time Edwards is leading.
Yeah. The only way Barry ends up winning is jumping over Edwards at the beginning. And it's generally been a feature race as well that Barry's taken a victory. But he just... Edwards denies that he's got tricks up his sleeve, Alex, and he denies that he's a little wily old fox that he is like. But I think there's more to this man that meets the eye. I think there's more than he lets on. He knows where to put that car. You know, he's an SR10 veteran. If you're going to look at the list of how many drives he's probably done in the SR10, you'll probably find there's thousands. He ain't, he ain't no pushover, and Barry's going to struggle. Edwards knows what he's doing, and I think that's the thing. And Barry's still on his journey, and he's still learning, and he's learning from one of the best, though, I think.
Very much the case. We're on lap 6 out of 8, so after this one, we'll have 3 to go as they come out of turn number 12 at the Oak Tree. Once again, down the back stretch. Let's see if Barry can get that slipstream. And again, Edwards pulls to the right-hand side and then just allows the car to drift to the left. And he's not weaving. He's just letting it naturally progress. And that's a better way of doing it. But now Barry, again, is going to pull alongside him into turn 13 at the roller coaster. They go once again. Nigh on wheel to wheel. Barry to the outside at turn 14. He's going to get the inside line, is he? Edwards says, no, you don't. Paul LeMay waiting to pick up the pieces at a second's notice as long as he can keep it out of harm's way. But James Barry's now got to try everything. This is going to go down to the wire and down the back, the main straightaway. They are literally nigh on wheel to wheel on the run down into the horseshoe here at T1. Barry gets about half a car length in front. Edwards pins it to the inside line, gives no opportunity for Barry to have the switch back, and Paul LeMay nearly had an opportunity to get past the number 10 in the process.
I can tell you now, Simon Edwards is sitting in that car going, come on, Paul, get him. Come on, Paul, go for it. Come on, Paul, I'm giving you every opportunity. Why are you not sending it on him? We know he wants to sit there. We know he's not in the championship. We know he don't want to get involved, but God blimey.
Paul.
Send it.
Paul, take your bravery pills, your Dutch courage, and show that you've got bigger testes than anybody else on this grid, and put one up on James Barry. Come on.
Yeah. Edwards, you can guarantee what we've said is Edwards is sat there thinking the same thing. Now LeMay's dropped back by about 4 tenths, but it ain't going to take him much to get on the back here. And Edwards is sitting there going, come on, Paul, please. Come on, Paul, please. Please, Paul. Yeah. Please, Paul. Please, Paul. Please, Paul. And it's just not there. He's just not doing it.
Yeah. We're very shortly going to be going onto the white flag lap as we head down the back stretch for the penultimate time. And once again, Barry gets the slingshot. This time, can he make the move into turn 13, into the roller coaster? He's ahead again, but Edwards sternly defends the inside line. Edwards is making this so difficult for James Barry at the minute that Paul LeMay has got to do something. He's got to try something out of the hog pen. On lap 7 out of 8, 1 to go. White flag will be out this time, and Simon Edwards has kept the lead despite the best efforts of James Barry. Barry again goes to the outside on the run down the start-finish straight into the horseshoe. And once again, Edwards defends. Just literally millimetre perfect for the 7-time champion. And what's more, the fact that Paul LeMay is only 0.2 of a second, approximately at one point, behind James Barry, and Barry's got to try and do something special if he wants to pick up the W in this opening race of the night.
I don't know what he's going to do. I do not seriously know what he's going to do. I think he's got to send it, but where?
I think he's got to try the inside. He's got to try the inside off the back stretch into turn 13. That's the only real opportunity I see, but Edwards will always park the car there because he's got the right of way, being the race leader. Now up the crest, into turn 11 and 12 here at Oak Tree for the final time. And now let's see who gets the better run coming out onto the back stretch. It looks to be Edwards, but the closing rate of speed will start to accelerate, but Barry is not close enough behind. He's way behind where he should be at this point of the circuit. It could be a mere formality for Edwards to just keep that car in front into the roller coaster section for the final time. It turns 13, 14 and 15.
What's the run out?
It has run out. I thought it was going to happen, but Edwards comes out of the hog pen and will take the win despite going 2 wheels on the grass. Barry's going to start closing it on the run to the line. It's a long run to that start-finish straight and that finish line, but Edwards picks up the win after 8 laps of racing by 93 thousandths of a second ahead of James Barry. Paul LeMay, well, Could have had an opportunity at least second, but it's going to be a run to the line for 7th place. And Daryl Taylor nips it in the bud by 37 thousandths ahead of Jamie Bird. David Rolliston was very close there as well. He was only a 10th ahead of Taylor. Phil Glover rounds out the top 9. Paul Clark's going to get reverse top 10 pole for the feature. Michael LeMay is going to come across the line, finishing down in 11th, but Damien G unfortunately retiring with a couple of 3 laps to go as Michael LeMay just cruises across the line. But what can you say about that first race? I mean, Edwards and Barry, it's been textbook all the way through the season so far. Another perfect example of how Edwards has said to Barry, learn something. Learn something. And I'm sure that when we have the post-race chat with Simon and with James will be like, yeah, well, he had me on that one. It's like, James, let's go out. Look, you want to win this title, beat him out on track, and then go, right, I've achieved something, now I can build on it.
Well, the problem is beating him.
Yes.
That's a different story altogether, isn't it? I think that's the thing for Simon Edwards. But the results are on the screen from race number 1.
So, another win in the bag for the 7-time Radical Race Series champion, Simon Edwards, finishing 9 100ths ahead of James Barry as the championship battle continues in earnest, my friends. Paul LeMay in 3rd, Seth Brown and Mike Bousson round out the top 5. Seth and Mike having very much Billy No-Mates races, as in they were pretty much left on their own. David Rolliston winning a really nice battle between himself, Daryl Taylor and Jamie Bird as they rounded out the top 8. Phil Glover and Paul Clark round out the top 10. Paul will start on the top 10 reverse grid pole position, with Michael LeMay finishing as the last driver to complete the race distance in 11th, and Damien G, unfortunately, retiring at half-time. But, we haven't got long in the warm-up, so no real opportunity to bring our good friend Mr. Phil Glover in. We'll bring him in post the feature race. But 14 laps, it's still, we now know that Edwards and Barry are going to be 10th and 9th respectively. I think they could be very much at the case if they don't hit trouble or dramas, that we could see them battling at the front end of the field in the second half of the race, James.
Yeah, they're going to have a right little ding-dong. This is where now we'll see James Barry shine through. His traffic management at the beginning is a very, very aggressive style, and he gets through, but because people give him the room to get through. And Edwards has now just got to try and go with him, because wherever Barry's going to be in this race, Edwards can't be that far behind.
Yep, so Barney the Flag Marshal waves the checkered for the 2-minute warm-up. So here's the grid for the feature. 14 laps of Virginia International Raceway Beacon. And we've got Paul Clark and Phil Glover on the front row. Paul Clark on pole position, with Jamie Bird and Daryl Taylor rounding out row 2. David Rolliston and Mike Bousson, row 3. Seth Brown and Paul LeMay rounding out row 4, with James Barry and Simon Edwards, the 2 main championship protagonists, rounding out the top 10, with Michael LeMay, Damien G and also David Beasley, who didn't take any part in race 1. But the drivers now pretty much readying up. Damien G's got about a minute to ready up, but the red lights have started igniting already. And the revs rise, lights are out, we're underway. So good start by Paul Clark as Phil Glover slots in behind. Jamie Bird trying to make it a little bit audacious to go around the outside. And look at the move he's pulled through at the horseshoe.
James.
Oh dear.
James Barry.
You said about his traffic management. Well, he's just proved you otherwise, hasn't he?
Yeah, he ends up on the grass.
No, I'm sorry.
Bang, bang, bang. Oh, man.
And look who's just scythed on through, going, thank you very much, Mr. Edwards, and he's already up 5 places. But I have to say, though, despite that big faux pas from James Barry, the move from Jamie Bird from 3rd on the grid to dive up the inside whilst threading the eye of the needle, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it definitely was on that one. I'm not too sure how people's reaction are going to go to there as well. I don't know if there was more of a collision coming from James's incident. I've got a funny feeling there was a secondary collision. Yeah, because Rollo tipped top boost on round as well. But I've got a funny feeling that's purely because Rolliston had nowhere to go, because the man on the right here was coming at him. He tried to go right, then he tried to leave room, and then unfortunately, yeah, you're going to have to, you might have to take the blame for the chaos and carnage on that one.
Oh, no! Oh. Jamie Bird was leading. Okay, right, let's have a look at this. He's had the slightest touch. Paul Clark, another opening lap incident for the 24. Dearie me. I don't think Paul's going to be on anyone's Christmas card list this year.
No, I don't think he's going to be Mr. Popular. Football.
No, he definitely ain't. He definitely ain't.
It's typical. I met him in real life. He's a really nice bloke. I'm friends with him. And yeah, he just went and did that. Not really sure, to be very honest here, what's going to go down on that one. But listen, there's probably two people in this race. Paul Clark being up front with him and Jamie Bird. I think the problem was Paul hit the curb on the inside, and it kind of bounced him a few more feet than he needed to be, and Jamie's just there, and unfortunately there was nowhere else to go. I don't expect Phil Glover to hold up Simon Edwards for too long. Simon does supply Phil's setup, so it's probably best you don't hold up the person that helps you.
No, or maybe if I think the thing is I think you're completely right on that one, James. Phil's been on the top 10 reverse grid pole position. He has led races this season so far. Oh, that was a lock-up from Simon Edwards, wasn't it? I think that was the right front. Trying not to go and slam straight into the back of Phil, but at this point, they're going down in towards the roller coaster section, and Simon's going to pull it to the left-hand side. Easy as you like. Phil's going to lift off a little bit and let him go through without any major problem whatsoever. There you go, there's the move, and Phil just slots nicely in behind Mr. Edwards as they go through the roller coaster section on the run down to Hog Pen. So Simon Edwards has got a 1.3 second disadvantage towards Paul Clark. James Barry has recovered to now be up to P5 behind Skittles, aka Daryl Taylor, and is literally bump drafting him down the start finish straight, and is looking to the outside heading in towards the horseshoe. How is Barry going to tackle this? Is it going to be a repeat of what we've seen with Edwards? No, he's going to try and hang it around the outside to get the undercut through into turns 2 and 3 at NASCAR Bend. Daryl Taylor says, I don't care if you're in the championship. No, you're not getting past.
Yeah, Taylor's making sure he doesn't there. Glover's in there as well. I don't think James is probably going to be able to dive like he does. Good evening, Phil. Welcome in there as well. And Leo Anderson, welcome in. It was a rough start, Leo. I don't think it was a poor start. It was just a more bad, unfortunately, decision-making that led to a 4-car pile-up. But apart from that, it has been very interesting. Taylor blocking off
James
him.
Barry, he's flirting with the grass again.
Yeah, like he's trying.
Like he did at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, but he's got to be careful. I don't think Daryl's going to give him up the room that he needs. I think you're going to stick your nose in, son. You're going to visit Kim Kardashian's plastic surgeon. So he's got to be careful.
Yeah, well, Michael LeMay's just been off. Mike Bousson has, I think, retired. Damien G didn't even make it onto the grid in time, as James Barry, again, trying to be a bit brazen with his overtakes. Doing a bit more risk than risk versus reward management here, if I'm completely honest with you, James, as they go through into the roller coaster. Daryl really didn't fight that too hard, but I think, come on, Phil, get your big boy pants out and defend. Make the back end of that Radical SR10 as wide as possible, please.
Yeah, he's got Paul Super Wide Clark. They don't call him Super Wide for no reason. He is not the most easiest, and that's not because he eats like a trooper, mind you. Paul's a skinny. There's more fat on a rabbit red breast, to be blatantly honest, than there is on Paul Clark. But he is difficult to overtake, and unless Paul really wants to make it hard for him, he might sit there and think, I'm not in this championship fight again. I don't know if Barry probably should have rested back and allowed the people that went off the first time to come past him to make up for the fact that obviously, trying to send it 4 wide is just ridiculous, to be blatantly honest. But, there's a zero IQ moment, unfortunately, on that one that caused chaos to everybody behind him. But he's going to have a go. We'll see how he gets on with Paul Clark.
So we're currently on lap 4 out of 14. Don't forget, folks, like, share and subscribe if you get the opportunity, and hit that notification bell because there's still plenty of racing action to come. We've got the main sim racing series round 2 at Thompson Speedway, 100 laps at 20 past midnight, so in just a few hours time. And there's plenty of other great racing. We've got Simcar Penguin RC Simulation, World Sports Car Championship 1964, Casual Racing League F1, the Old Guy Racing League Coffee Cup, Tenzo Racing Group, and IGP Fun to round off the week. So plenty of racing still to keep you all entertained. If you love your sim racing, you love your iRacing, R-Factor 2 or F1, we've got something here for everybody here at JPB. But in the meantime, Barry is starting to close in on Paul Clark. Now, looking at the last lap times, it was a 43.1 for Clark, 42.0 for Barry. That gap has come down again. So for Simon Edwards, 141.246. Paul Clark's just responded to James Barry and just puts in a 41.482. Barry puts in the fastest overall lap of the race, 41.049. So I think, as you said, Mr. Super Wide has got to get his rear wing as big as humanly possible without actually expanding the rear wing on that Radical SR10 in the process.
Yeah, he definitely will have a, it'll make it hard. It'll make it hard for him. And Barry could end up leading to the point of getting frustrated. The problem when he gets frustrated is going to make a mistake. What's Clark going to do here? Barry again on the grass. They're still running side by side. Oh, James. I told you. There we go. Through he goes. He tells you, I don't care if you bump me up. I'm still coming at you, and I'm going to come at you again. And Paul's now got to slot in behind the oak tree as well. So, yeah, little bit needs to probably take a breather, James Barry, at this moment in time.
It just needs to focus on hitting the markers really more than anything. And as you said, it's about, taking a breath, just calmly assessing the situation and not going a bit too gung-ho and all guns blazing like we saw at, when he had the incident with Phil Glover at Watkins Glen down the back stretch. And it was just, that's the kind of racing that these drivers don't like doing. But when James Barry is trying to keep a lead over Simon Edwards, because he's going to lose a couple more points tonight. I mean, what was it? Is it 25 for a win, I think it is, or something like that? I'm trying to remember the points.
It was like 9. He pulled in, what was it, 4 or 5 over him last week. So, he's going to have to... I know why he's doing it, but he's just got to be careful in the meantime doing it. And it's 25 for a win in race 1, 40 for a win in race 2.
So effectively, this means you look at the results from race 1. Well, that's 3 points in favour of Simon Edwards, so that'll bring it down to 16. So it'll bring it down to 11 if Simon picks up the double tonight. That'll be a maximum haul of 65 points. So, yeah, and of course there is the matter of the drop rounds, with 3 drop rounds being available for all drivers. The 3 lowest scoring points results from all races will be dropped automatically, so the highest... and that was a code brown for Darrell Taylor there coming out of Oak Tree.
No, it was more than the code brown, unfortunately, for Darrell Taylor. It resulted, I believe, in a little spinneroony. It did. There we go. Nice little 360. More code brown for Phil Glover, I think, as he's coming on to that quite quickly. But Seth Brown now has got David Rollison tucked in behind him. Then we've got Jamie Bird, who's got Paul LeMay and Darrell Taylor in behind that one. Jamie there, of course, down 4 places from the start there. And this is why, here for Jamie Bird. Oh, hello. Both him and Mike Bousson did the same thing. I think they followed each other off the side of the circuit, but not before, of course. Jamie lost a bunch of positions doing this, and again, I think Paul hit the curb and bounced him off the side of the circuit.
Yeah. Once bitten, twice shy, but with Mr. Paul Clark, lightning definitely struck twice. As here is Jamie Bird battling away with Paul LeMay. Jamie running with the Club 100 stickers on the side of the Radical SR10. Of course, Club 100, the biggest arrive and drive UK non-owner driver program in the United Kingdom, run by JV John Vigor, also associated with Rotax because they supply the engines. But good little battle here. Now this is coming through into South Bend at turn 10. So Paul LeMay looking to move up the order. Paul did start 8th, and that's exactly where he's been pretty much the majority of this race, as we are fast approaching half distance. We're on the final throes of lap 7 being completed out of 14. And as I said earlier on here, James, I thought it was going to be the battle between Edwards and Barry, but Edwards has opened up a gap of 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, he's putting away at the moment. It's more of a point situation. What did Mike Bousson do to end up jumping back? Where are you, Mike? I'm not quite sure where. That was off the corner with Jamie Bird, and then he jumps back into pit lane, and unfortunately for Mike, he is out of race number 2. But Phil Glover has got Mr. Seth Brown tucked in right behind him at the moment. Seth giving him a whole load of grief. We're just about to try and go around the outside of turn number 1. We're not going to make it through. Glover's going to run in a little bit deep. That's going to allow Brown to come back the other way. Glover's going to come and chop our nose off. Is he going to chop our nose off? He's so close to doing it, and he did end up succeeding in the end.
Yeah, nice little bit of adjustment there from our good friend Mr. Phil Glover, just keeping it nice and pointy towards the inside of turn 2, heading into 3 at NASCAR Bend. And then they've got David Rolliston just behind. So this is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th as they make their way through Snake. And then the short shoot up towards turn number 7 underneath the Lathe Cars and Michelin Bridge. Up over the crests they go again. You can just see the quick change in direction. Seth Brown giving Glover something to think about here, as out of South Bend and into the run in towards turn 11 and 12 here at Oak Tree. Phil Glover parks it nice and neatly. Calm and composed there from the number 20, from the number 07. But now it's a slipstream fest down the back stretch in towards the roller coaster, as Mr. Glover don't weave too significantly there, and Seth Brown is going to park it to the left-hand side into turn 13. Is he going to outbrake him into the corner? Yes, he is. That was a nice little move there by Seth. Yeah, we've just seen a comment from our good friend Mr. Bousson in the chat saying that was a mess in T1. Yes, we 100% agree. So now on lap 9 out of 14. Rollo trying to see if he can get past Phil for P5, but Paul LeMay is not too far behind either. He's got that gap down to just under 1.2. Well, he's got that down to about a second. He's going to swing in terms of the pendulum whenever you brake for a corner and then accelerate onto a long bit of tarmac, which our drivers in 5th, 6th and 7th position are going to do right now. Let's see if Mr. Glover can try and close in on that gap that Seth Brown has now managed to eke out, which is about 1.2 seconds. Michael LeMay has been the latest casualty, I fear. Oh. That's where he spun earlier. Oh. Have you seen Mike's comment in the Discord? Knowing him, he probably did. Yeah, he did probably find it. It's just it's not shown on the. Yeah. He just said that's probably the one that's there in real life. You never know. You never know. But that. Oh! Now there's beats of Bargy. So I think that was Rolliston into the side of Glover. Let's have a look. Bang! Oh! Oh! He lets him through. We could be doing some investigations tonight, as in, right, we're not letting you go until you tell us what happened.
I'll see how they get on there as well. Apparently my mic had stopped working, but I think it might be back now. That's Mr. Gonzaga in YouTube chat there. Phil Quay Jones as well is there. I think my mic is back now. So yeah, I think there's going to be it depends on how we want to put, you know, we do love a good interview, and I do love getting,
yes,
you know, pushing to the point of where I want to know. So, you know, be interesting to see on the interview stage.
Oh dear, what's happened now? We've had a couple of we've had one driver go off. I did see Phil go off track, but who just went? Oh, Daryl's got off, and then Phil nearly ended up careering into the back of pole by accident. I think just yeah, it just goes to show that sometimes you can be a little bit overzealous. Of course, these are very physical machines. Then you've got to factor in what force feedback of our respective drivers got set up to run these cars here at VIR. Of course, Road America, which we're going to next week, is going to be even more taxing, especially for someone like Paul LeMay, who has been very, very open about an injury to his arm that he's got, and sometimes he won't be able to fully commit. And, you know, I like the fact that we've got people like Paul that still come in, week out, and give it their all.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing. I think Paul's been here a long while. He's committed into this, and I think, you know, fair play to him for coming out. He doesn't always complete the races, and he doesn't push the situation, but I think, yeah, he does well.
So Paul LeMay and David Rolliston down the backstretch in towards turn 13 at the beginning of the roller coaster section. Rollo to the right-hand side. LeMay blocks it. Neatly done there by the number 27. As Simon Edwards puts in a new fast lap on lap number 11 out of 14. Although 1 minute 41 dead. It's 3 zeros behind the decimal point. As Paul LeMay trying to not give the toe to David Rolliston down the start-finish straight. Gap between them is about a tenth. It's under a tenth. Rollo looking to the outside. LeMay trying to keep the inside line into the horseshoe here at T1. Rollo has to back out of it, use discretion as the better part of valour, and then start all that hard work again.
Yeah, he's going to have to try once more. He's only got this 1 and 2 more after this to see how he gets on. And Rollo's got to have a go and see. This is the closest battle on the racetrack at this moment in time. These two here, Tiger Racing and Two Brothers, providing the action here. Not long to go whatsoever, and Simon Edwards out in front by 2.5 seconds.
He's just over, coming up to 60% completed of this 12th lap. So as James said, this and 2 more to go before we close things out here at the Radical Race Series SR10 Championship for 2024, season number 4, round 10. Here at VIR before we head to Road America in just a week's time, week number 11. But it has been a pretty straightforward evening for one Mr. Simon Edwards. 2.35 seconds up the road from James Barry as the leader now comes across the line. 2 laps remaining here at VIR, and Paul LeMay starting to run away a little bit from David Rolliston in this meantime.
Yeah, he's opened up a little bit of a gap now. It's Rollo. We've got Jamie Bird closing in on Daryl Taylor. They might be able to give us some action here on lap 13. It's settled down a little bit, gone a little bit quiet here at the moment. There's quite a few cars spread out from each other. You can see on the track map, but I think that's the thing of having such a long track, that the time differences really do make a difference.
Yeah, it won't be the case when we go to Road America next week, week 11. But it is the case of some drivers trying to pick up points. That's exactly what Jamie Bird and Daryl Taylor, who are the last two circulating drivers around the track here at VIR. So Michael LeMay out 3 laps ago. Mike Bousson out on lap 2. But yeah, this could be very, very racy, this battle here for P8 in the dying stages of the race itself, as our leaders making their way down the back stretch. Gap is 2.61 seconds and increasing as Bird follows Taylor down into South Bend at turn 10. He's about a car length and a half behind, so whether he can get the brakes locked in nicely, get the hole shot coming out of turn 12 at Oak Tree. As meantime, our leaders will now see the white flag from Barney the Flag Marshal. Simon Edwards looking to pick up a double win here tonight at VIR. Comfortably has it in the pocket, and with it sets another new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 40.941. Edwards again shining when it matters the most, picking up a double victory when it also matters the most in the process.
Yep, he needed it, and he got it. He had to pull points out on Barry, and he has done. As you say, he's got points out of him. 3 in race number 1, 5 in race number 4. That's 8 over the whole race, and it brings him down again. He's just pulling bits out of him at the moment. There's another 8 points now. So this keeps happening to James Barry. This championship can be very spicy by the end of it.
Indeed it can. That's going to bring the gap between Simon Edwards and James Barry down to 11 points heading into Road America next week for week 11 out of 13. But it's down the back stretch here at VIR for one final time here on lap 14 out of 14. And no matter whether someone else has been trying to keep a lead in the championship standings, there's always one that you can guarantee will put everything on the line and do everything they need to, as out of the roller coaster section and heading into Hogpen for the final time comes the 7-time Radical Race Series champion Simon Edwards. Closes the gap to 11 points as he rockets out of Hogpen and at full throttle heads across the line to pick up the double win here at Virginia International Raceway. James Barry is going to be scratching his head saying, what am I going to need to do at Road America next week? Paul Clark, he's been in the wars this week, but he's going to come across the line and finish in P3 very shortly. Takes the checkered. Seth Brown looking very, very good as well for a 4th place finish. David Rolliston will take 5th ahead of our resident Mr. Positivity, Phil Glover, in the 07. Oh no, that's changed because Paul LeMay's got through on Glover. Jamie Bird's going to take 8th, and Daryl Taylor, who's been in the wars. Oh, it was a run to the line. So LeMay got the jump on Glover, coming across the line, and that was close. That was a photo finish.
Phil was
brilliant
hugging the line. You can see as well as he come over. He was literally, let's see if we can get here as well. Phil just comes closer and closer and closer to the white line. He tries to stop him as best as he can. Now we've got Daryl here. So he's literally, look, he's literally hugging the white line tighter than his favourite grandma at the moment. And he's just going and going and going. And you'll see him turn here as well to try and bring it back even further. He's like, I'm going to jump the curb and everything. And he still just misses out. Oh, nice try, Phil. Give me props.
That's whisker between the pair of them at the line.
Yeah, absolutely stunning job. But there's the results for you, sir.
Well, 2 for 2 for Simon Edwards, the 7-time series champion, brings the gap down between him and the man who's finished 2nd in both races tonight. James Barry drops to 11 points. Paul Clark finishes the evening with a very solid top 3 finish in 3rd place. That's a 5th and a 3rd for Paul here tonight. Seth Brown and David Rolliston ran out the top 5 ahead of Paul LeMay, Phil Glover, Jamie Bird and Daryl Taylor rounding out the finishing order. Michael LeMay unfortunately retiring with 6 laps to go. Mike Bousson out on lap 2. Damien G and David Beasley unfortunately not ending up on the grid for race number 2 that point around.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's bring in our Mr. Resident Positivity, shall we? Shall we bring in Mr. Phil Glover and have a little chin wag with him? Because it's always
go for it.
Right. Let's get that all sorted.
There you go.
So, Mr. Glover, good evening.
Good evening.
Well,
What's the drama?
Yes. And it was so close between you and Paul at the line in that second race. You were hugging that inside line. You're like willing the car forward, and he picked you to it by a cat's whisker.
Do you know what? I didn't even know he was there until the 2 corners before the end. Yeah, that's my mistake, really. I should have noticed him creeping up. Not that I could do much about it. It's pretty quick.
But nevertheless, though, you still had some fairly, good results. Obviously, Mr. Edwards helping you out with your setups. How did the car feel around VIR tonight, Phil?
Much better with the heavier fuel for me. But because normally the setup Simon has are right on the edge. So and when you've got more fuel, you get a bit more mechanical downforce, I guess, for the tighter corners. But yeah, it was okay, really. I think Dave Rolliston caught me into one of the corners and tapped me, but he very kindly gave the position back. So I suppose that dropped me down a bit more than perhaps I could have been, but who knows?
I think you at that point were running about P4, P5, and yeah, he did the sportsman-like thing, which was just to let you go. And I mean, still, we've got another 3 weeks to go here, Phil. We've got Road America next week. How do you think you're going to run at that one?
Well, James will tell you, Road America's my track.
Yep.
So it's certainly one of the ones I'm better on. When I looked, I really surprised myself. I looked where I was in the championship, and I was 8th coming into this round. So I don't know. Maybe I've managed to hang on to 8th. We'll wait and see.
Well, Graham Matthews weren't here, so you would have overtaken them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good. So well, I look forward to Road America for sure.
Well, Phil, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight, buddy?
So the winners, I see Simon's won, James. Yeah, Paul's done pretty well, although it's not a win like he got last week. So the top 3 then, shall we say?
Brilliant, Phil. Thanks for jumping in as always, and we'll catch up with you next week at Road America for round number 11.
Yeah, look forward to it. Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care.
Well, good to hear from Phil. You know what? Let's bring in Mr. LeMay, shall we? Have a little chat with him. So let's bring him in. Paul LeMay, good evening.
Good evening. How are you? All right?
Not too bad. Yourself? You've definitely had some fun and frolics out there on the track at VIR tonight, haven't you?
Certainly had. I gave it everything in race 1, but just didn't have enough to get past James and Simon. But I gave it everything. So that's all I could do, really.
Did you? Did you give it everything, Mr. LeMay?
Yes, I did.
You
Absolutely
sure?
everything. Mate, come on, give me some slack, mate, will you? Honestly.
I was willing you on in that first race, Paul. I was like waiting for you to put something through on James. I really was.
I did try, mate. I really did. I know James will never believe me, but...
Oh, listen. I know what goes on, and at the end of the day, I know how tough it was. But I did think you had an opportunity at one point. I was like, "Go on, Paul, send it, send it."
But sometimes, James, you think opportunities there that sometimes ain't, mate.
Maybe, mate. Maybe.
Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes.
I still think you could.
I gave it everything. I gave it everything I had.
But that's all right then. That's all I want to hear.
Just
Paul.
for you, mate. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. That makes me so much happier. Anyway, sorry, Alex, I gate crashed you. You carry on.
Oh no, don't worry about that. It's all banters, and it's all about the banter and the interviews post race anyway. But Paul, we've got Road America next week. How you feeling about that one?
I really love Road America. It's one of my favourite tracks. I had a pretty good race out there last time. So, yeah, fingers crossed I can sort of be at the sharp end.
Maybe give Mr. Barry and Mr. Edwards a bit of a frightener next week, possibly.
I'll give it a go, mate. I'll give it a go.
That's
Definitely
what
give
we
it a go.
like to hear, Paul. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go, buddy?
Just you guys, really, for doing a super job of broadcasts.
You might want to watch it back first, Paul.
Oh no, you've just given me loads of grief, haven't you? That's it. It's the last interview I'm doing. I'm done. It's over.
Yeah. Don't make excuses. Give over, you Charlie. Look, we're here to tell a story, so that's all I've done. So you carry on with your shout outs, mate.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, Paul, we'll see you next week for round 11 at Road America. Well done tonight.
All right, guys, take care.
Take care, mate.
Bye.
Okay. Well, we've now got to bring in our championship leader, who still leads, by the way. But we've got a couple of questions we need to fire over to him. Let's bring in James Barry. James, good evening.
Hello, how are you?
Not too bad. Another consistent race evening for you. 2 second places behind Simon. But I've got one question to ask. What exactly happened from your perspective on turn 1, race 2?
I think I was trying to go to sets inside at turn 1. I was a bit adamant to try and put a gap between me and Simon straight away in the second race because, it's just every race that I come to, it's just I'm thinking about trying to, beat him in one way, and he beat me in the first race, which I was disappointed about because, I had the good pace clearly, but again, he just did a better job there than me. And then so I went to race 2 just, trying to make some moves, and straight away I just brake too late at turn 1, I think, trying to go to sets inside, and ended up driving into David Rolleston. So my bad, and sorry to everyone who got caught up in that.
Yeah, it did unfortunately cause a little bit of a chain reaction, but nevertheless, you got to within 2.8 seconds of Simon at the end of the race. But we were sort of like thinking what wonderful magical trick you were going to pull on Simon in race 1, because coming out of Oak Tree and then seeing you close in, I think it was until the final lap. We saw you were about 2.5 tenths behind, and that's the optimum for getting a really good slipstream down the back stretch. Were you hoping that Simon at one point was going to pull to the left so you could actually sneak up the inside through at turn 14?
Well, I mean, clearly he had it figured out because he let me go to the outside as it was, and he isn't. I tried to go. You have the inside for the next one, and he was able to hang it around the outside on the little left-hander that follows. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing I could do. So he has it figured out. He's a proper expert. It's becoming a cliche now that James likes to say he's educating me, but to be fair, he's doing an amazing job. I can't really complain at this point.
Yeah, it seems to be. Seems like James has Mr. Parfitt has become the broken old record.
Hold on a minute.
Hey, look, you say it more than I do, but no, I was hoping you were going to pull something special out the bag. But is that going to be the case at Road America in a week's time, James?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, again, anything can happen in Road America, especially such a draft track. So I don't know. Let's see. I have no idea.
Brilliant. Well, James, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, everyone who I affected in that little crash, and obviously shout out Simon again for putting on some amazing performances again.
Well, James Barry, thank you so much for talking to us. Still the points leader going into Road America. Well done tonight, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Right, cheers, see you, bye.
Right, okay. Last but by no means least, let's bring in Mr. Edwards. Simon, good evening.
Good evening, Alex.
So, 2 very, very straightforward races for you. Of course, keeping Mr. Barry at bay in race 1 for the moment you hit the front. And then race 2, James's Skittles tactic unfortunately didn't work.
It worked for me.
Yeah, I know, because we saw you glide on through. I commented and went, Simon's just gone, yep, thank you very much, I'll take that one.
Yeah, I thought I'm going to go the opposite side of James and just one of us will come out good, and then I thought, oh, he's not stopping.
Yeah, it was like 10-pin bowling at the local bowling centre, but nevertheless, these 2 wins help you close that gap from what was 19 points. You've just taken 8 out of it, making it 11 points differential between you two going into Road America next week. How comfortable was it just getting the job done? I mean, that's why you're a 7-time series champion. We know what you're capable of. Have you still got any magic tricks? I know you said earlier on in the season to James and me, no, I haven't got many tricks left. I'm sure there's still a couple that we might see in the next 3 race nights, huh?
Well, I used one or a few in that first race, to be honest with you. I'd set the car up so I could go through the hairpin really well. So I could use that as a defence and an attack, and it worked really well. Mm-hmm. And then I was just knowing where the grip is in that first corner and just making sure I was on that grippy line. So that's my only 2 tricks really I played today, apart from playing chicken a couple of times into
down the back stretch into the roller
Yeah.
coaster section of 10-13. Yeah, we saw that rather than like we see with some series that we commentate on down that stretch, that some people will weave excessively. But what you did was quite strategic in the fact that you pulled to one side and then went, okay, I'm just going to let the car naturally drift over rather than sort of making it a sudden movement, because that could have caught both of you out at the same time.
Yeah, I was trying to make it so we didn't crash, definitely. Yeah.
Good stuff. Road America next week, week 11. Things are getting down to the wire. How are you feeling ahead of Road America next week?
Well, I thought I was out of the championship, and then I've realised there's 13 races to this season. It's like a leap season, isn't it? So I'm not far off. If I can do this again twice, then it could come down to the last race. Otherwise, I need James to have a worse one race, and then we're back in for the last 2 races. So we'll see how it goes. I like Road America. It is a track where you need lots of tricks, as you're calling. So we'll see if I can do them.
Brilliant. Simon, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
I'll give a shout out to Phil, I think, because he was driving really, really well there. I gave him a little bit of coaching on the track earlier in the week, but he didn't get much practice in. But he stayed really consistent and nearly got a top 6.
Brilliant. Well, Simon, well done tonight, and congratulations on closing the gap to James. We'll see you next week for round 11 at Road America.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Oh, Mr. Parfitt, the dust has settled at VIR, and then we go back to another American staple, Road America, next week. It's looking to be rather exciting, this championship fight, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you've got 2 long runs as well. Don't forget, you come out of turn 14 at Road America, you've got about a mile and a half before you get into turn number 1. So that's going to provide some strong overtakes for people as well. And I think they've proved that they can do it. I think it's going to be very interesting indeed. Can Edwards do it? Will Barry hold on to it? Well, guys, you're going to have to tune in to find out.
Yeah, so that wraps up coverage of the Radical Race Series SR10 Championship Season 4 for 2024, Round 10. You've joined myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt here on the JP Broadcasting Network. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Plenty of racing to come up over the next coming days, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on in the broadcast. So, race clean, race hard, and if in doubt, go flat out. We'll see you next time. Good night for now.